control is responsibility. It's being in the driver's seat and knowing that the result you get is directly correlated with you and your decisions. See, it's easy to point the blame. It's easy to be helpless and play the victim, but the empowered embrace a fundamental truth. That when you take control of your life, you own its outcome. Now, this isn't always easy because it means confronting the difficult things in your life, taking the necessary road, not necessarily the easy one. But when you decide that you are the author, that you hold the pen, you dictate your story. There's no reason to exhaust time and energy on how unfair life can be. Life isn't fair. We all know that, but it's not supposed to be. Winners win because they find ways to take their situation and transform it into a result that they want. Not look at the world around them as an external force pushing them down, but as everything they could ever need to build upon. You have control. Whatever comes your way is working for you. It's allowing you to grow, providing the pieces for you to create your own narrative. The key is not to deflect out, but to reflect in, to take control of your life and get what you want. Luck is what happens when preparation meets hard work. Seneca. How many times have you heard luck used as the explanation for events that have unfolded? Successful people or fortunate occurrences, they're deemed lucky. Negative, unfortunate situations, well, they're unlucky. But what if luck had very little to do with anything? What if the events in your life were the result of both the way you look at the world and the way you prepare yourself for what comes your way? To lean on the concept of luck is to relinquish control over your life, to reallocate power. It does nothing for you except deceive and manipulate. The truth is, great situations are going to arise as well as challenging times. What will matter in either is how you handle them. When opportunities come your way, do you capitalize? Are you ready? Can you make the most of what's been presented to you? And on the other hand, when the negative arises, can you see it for what it is? A temporary obstacle that you can and will get past. There's nothing unlucky about what's happening around you. Because what's happening around you is life. It's your job to deal with it, to play your hand and live out every day like it's a gift. The ones who are prepared, positive, ambitious, by their very nature, they will achieve. And when they do, they'll be called lucky by passers-by. But don't allow yourself to fall for this. Luck is not given. It is never given. Luck is made. Every single day. There's a delicate balance that occurs when moving toward a goal. We need to be thinking about the possibilities, the future, what can be. Goals are impactful because you're creating something meaningful in a place where it doesn't yet exist. But that's also what makes the journey so difficult. Because it means there's going to be a substantial stretch of time where you wake up and haven't yet accomplished your primary objective. That's a lot of mornings, working toward a dream, holding on to hope and trust, believing you'll get to the top, knowing that you will conquer whatever is in the future. And while tomorrow may contain the treasure we so desperately seek, let us not forget about the many steps that occurred before today. About the persistence, the courage, the self-belief. You would not be standing where you are right now without the platform that you've built over time. And that's an accomplishment that should never be overlooked. When eyes are only focused on what you've yet to acquire, on what you haven't created, you're minimizing your own momentum. Look, mindset is the beginning and the end of every endeavor. If you feel like a winner, you will win somehow, some way. So just as important as building and working toward the next milestone is recognizing and feeling good about the milestones of yesterday. These small victories have become ingrained into who you are. They have built you up and will continue to push you to greater things. They are your proof, your reassurance that you'll find a way. That is your identity. Accomplishments are a balance of forward progress where you need to go, and of earned confidence comprised of the many steps that got you to where you are now. So don't forget every once in a while to look back. Why is moving in the direction that we need to go so often met with apprehension? Why is our fear of the unknown greater than our fear of settling for unhappiness or the status quo? When you look at this through a lens of rationality, it makes very little sense. You know, human beings like what is known, what is certain, even if it's at the expense of something better. And that mentality is what breeds mediocrity. It creates a life of simply getting by. See, by refusing to take risks, you are essentially risking it all because you are creating regret. And regret is the monster in the closet. Regret is the danger worth fearing. That someday you'll look back and wish that you'd lived life on your own terms, that you'd been a little braver, a tad more adventurous. Truth be told, this world is just not as scary as we make it out to be. But the trick isn't knowing that, the trick is doing something about it, convincing your brain that everything will be okay. Otherwise, we spend our entire lives standing behind the curtain that separates us from the stage. Why? Because the lights might be a tad too bright? I don't know about you, but that sure as hell beats a life in the dark. The risks you take are directly correlated to your happiness, your progress, fulfillment, success. These things can't exist without some element of trust that everything will be okay. That the road you don't know can take you wherever you want it to. In today's world, things come quickly. Information is instantaneous. Consumer goods are shipped to us at the click of a button. We want now, and we get now. And in many ways, that's great. It's vastly improved our lives, but the danger is when that immediate satisfaction or validation is applied to our own goals. When that thinking translates into impatience with your journey or your progress. Whatever your dream is, whatever you're working toward, it can't be bought with one click on Amazon, right? The good stuff, the important things, they take time. A million little wins, ups, downs, failures, successes, all jumbled into what will eventually be the mountain you stand on. But how you visualize that mountain is crucial. People quit not because something is beyond their capability. They quit because they lose sight of the simple truth that winning takes time, that getting to your finish line requires patience. And if it didn't, I can tell you right now, it would not have the same value. It would not be so highly regarded. The things you want most are earned, and they're earned step by step, day by day. Have the patience to see that through.
One of the biggest mistakes we make is accepting good enough as normal. And normal does not always mean optimal. In fact, a lot of the times it's the opposite. So I've been trying to, challenge that mindset in every area of my life. Yes, mentally, but also physically as well. And that's what led me to today's sponsor, Cowboy Colostrum. I originally started taking it for gut health. That's what pulled me in, but noticed some secondary things too. Less bloating after meals, as well as skin and hair improvements. And it's not just me saying it. What I appreciate is there's actual evidence. So Cowboy ran a study and it showed that 83% of participants reported improved gut health. 79% experienced less bloating and inflammation, 72% saw better digestion, and 62% saw thicker hair. So for me, to make it easy, I drink my supplements. A lot of the times it's smoothies. Here, it's coffee. Every morning, doesn't get easier than that. And so for you, if you've been settling for feeling less than your best, if you've been tired or bloated or inflamed and just chalking it up as part of life, maybe it's time to question that narrative. Head to cowboycolostrum.com/Eddie, and if you put in code EDDIE at checkout, you get 25% off. Thanks for watching. Back to the episode.
There's a difference between going through the motions and standing out. One requires action, the other calls for meaningful action, and the difference is tremendous. The passion that drives you determines whether you make an impact or clap as someone else does. Passion is an army. It protects you from a world rampant with negativity. It pushes you forward when you're tired, when you're weak. The difference between victory and every other outcome is a desire that lives much deeper than what's shown on the surface. It's what creates curiosity. It's what makes you jump out of bed. It makes the hours and hours of focus and work all worth it. When you love something, boundaries mean very little. There's always more to see. There's more to discover. Settling isn't an option. Quitting isn't entertained because it means you'd be walking away from the good stuff. What's around the corner? Which for some may be an option, but not for the passionate, not for those who need it like oxygen. If greatness is the goal, passion is not a luxury. It is a requirement. It's your ticket past the detours and roadblocks that send most people in the other direction. Being great means standing out, and standing out requires a burning desire to reach the top. It's your spark and your momentum, the wind on your back. If you are passionate about the road ahead, the twists and turns are part of the equation. In fact, you live for those very ups and downs because nothing is going to stop you from the journey and wherever it may lead. Sometimes our greatest gains are the result of our greatest losses. The losses that at the time shake up our world. They catch us off guard and even devastate us. It can be incredibly tough in the midst of misfortune to remind ourselves that when one door closes, another opens. That when one journey ends, another begins. But change pushes us. It requires, it mandates that we grow. rise to the events occurring around us. A loss will always remind us of what we once had, how things used to be. But what we sometimes fail to see is the beauty and significance of the chapter. And that without it, the book wouldn't be complete. We needed the lessons learned. Those people in our lives, those moments of joy, sadness, they're what positioned us to move forward. Loss is no tragedy, any more than the sun setting at dusk. It encapsulates everything good in our lives while simultaneously waving us on to tomorrow's sunrise. Greatness is a decision. Failure is a decision. Winning, losing, mediocrity, these are decisions that we make. None of them can exist in your life without a green light given by you. They require your approval. Now, this isn't to say outside circumstances don't play a part, right? Of course they do. But they're merely pieces. It's up to you to look at what's in front of you, the good and the bad, and put it all together to tell the story that you want to tell. See, failure is a decision because it's a stopping point. Failure doesn't mean that you stumbled or made a mistake or had to pick your pride up off the floor. No, failure means that you stopped. You decided that for one reason or another, moving forward simply isn't worth it. That the tough moments outweigh the great ones, and so you decided to settle. But the reality is, everyone deals with hardship. The differentiator is that some people decide to let it consume them and keep them down, while others decide that the unfortunate events will be nothing more than speed bumps on their way to greatness. It doesn't matter what stands before them because they've already chosen excellence. They've chosen to take the negative and turn it into the necessary ingredients to move forward. And that's one of the greatest decisions that one can make, simply to move on, to find a way. Because if you're willing to persist, there will be no end points, only new opportunities. Naval Ravikant has said inspiration is perishable, so act on it immediately. And what he means is those fleeting moments of excitement where you have an idea, a concept, those must be cashed in. They must come to life, otherwise they're gone before they had a chance to change anything. And see, what we don't really talk about much is that inspiration is only as valuable as one's willingness to act upon it. Just like a seed without the right nutrients can't grow, or a wheel is only useful once it touches the ground. It's the world able to act upon these objects that makes them powerful instruments. And so with that inspiration, that momentary jolt you've captured, the faster you act upon it, the more likely something comes of it. Inspiration transforms into action, which creates momentum and then more inspiration. And so goes the powerful cycle we must seek to create. Inspiration to action, to inspiration, to action. I talk all the time about the myth of perfection. The idea that the perfect moment is out there, that someone or something will give you permission. But no, that green light is self-created. And when it arrives, don't waste it. It's not about reaching a mountaintop right away. You don't need to create the perfect solution right now. But give yourself a chance to see those wheels hit the road. Allow that cycle of inspiration and action to propel you forward. Because so much of life comes down to what you did when that fleeting moment arrived, what you turned it into if you gave it life. A lot of people out there think that the secret to life is having the right answers. But I'm here to tell you, it's the courage, the willingness, the strength to move forward before you have them. To take that little bit of inspiration into the sunset. Let it mean something. Let it be a beginning. So when you look back years from now, you'll see that single decision to act meant so much more than what it felt in the moment. That single step you courageously took was everything. I find it interesting that what we want most is often brought about by the inverse of what we'd expect. It's a paradox that's amazed me for much of my adult life. And what do I mean? Well, here are a few examples. The best way to achieve freedom in your life is to be incredibly disciplined. Two things that are seemingly opposite in a sense. Or that the worst of times often open the door to the best of times. Or it's from a position of strength that one is best able to ensure peace. Or from our suffering, our pain, comes our purpose and contentment. Right? And you get the point. I could go on and on and on. But the reason this is so important, why I think it's worth discussing, is that it sheds light on the value hidden within our struggles. You know, when you realize the paradoxical nature of growth, the discomfort makes a little more sense. It's easier to wrap our hands around. So let's say getting up early. Perhaps you weren't a morning person, but you're trying. You're trying because you think those few extra hours in the morning will add some lift. Right? The alarm clock goes off. The last thing you want to do is open your eyes. Maybe you even start thinking, who cares, right? This isn't that important. Right? You begin rationalizing ways you'll go back to bed and just make up for the time throughout the day. But when you simplify the equation, you realize what you have is an opportunity. And you're either going to say yes and capitalize on that opportunity, or say no and stay where you are. Discipline, even with the small, seemingly trivial stuff, becomes freedom. And if you want to position yourself for a life on your terms, where you're at the wheel on your schedule, it means facing demons just like this. It means you fight your fight now so that you can mitigate it later. rather than saying, I wish, or beating yourself up for not being a little bit tougher in the moment, you instead get that sense of accomplishment. You get the luxury of time and freedom. And I think that's a simple but perfect example of how discomfort in one moment becomes contentment in future moments. Not a very intuitive trade-off. Or how about our low points? We all know no one escapes low points. I've always found them easier to handle and internalize when I know that it's bringing me closer to something valuable. When I know that there's something good on the other side, and that the pain I'm feeling, the thoughts that are inevitably going to pass through my mind like clouds on a windy day, they're obviously not ideal, but they're not a waste either, because something will come of them. And the goal in that moment, under the duress, is not to move the immovable. After all, you can only control what you can control. But it's to simply put one foot in front of the other until you emerge from the storm, because we all eventually emerge from that storm. It's when we get into the habit of trying to do what is outside the scope of our control that we do ourselves a disservice. Because look, we're human, equipped with human biology and human emotions, navigating a tough world that is indifferent to how we feel or what we think. And while we can certainly strengthen and fortify that emotional IQ, the reality is no one is on a high all the time. Life is ups and downs. And when we realize our superpower is not to fight the down times, but to accept them, take them in stride, learn from them, and extract the value, we empower ourselves. We're giving ourselves permission to live life just a little fuller after what we've experienced. The human experience requires many seemingly contradictory puzzle pieces all working together in unison to create that final illustration we're looking for. Not just discipline and freedom, not just low points and high points, but countless others. Jordan Peterson, of course, famously discusses chaos and order, and how both not only exist, but are pivotal to a fulfilling life. We are designed for chaos. We must step out into unknowns, situations that feel bigger than us. The courage to do so ultimately becomes the pathway to order. As we get used to the change, we acclimate, we find our answers, and ultimately create a sense of fulfillment. The challenge being that now we have conquered our demon, we must prepare for the next. Because just like too much chaos isn't good, too much order is equally destructive. Right? Another example of something we'd assume as negative. Chaos. Being the thing in actuality that paves the way for better days. It's a staircase. I've heard Tony Robbins say something similar when talking about our need for both certainty and uncertainty. We must have some elements of everyday life mapped out, but too much creates a mundane existence without the adventure and growth we've been looking for. It's from the unknown we capture more of ourselves. It's from the uncertainty we get growth. And I say all of this, not just because I think it's fascinating in and of itself, but because it's incredibly easy to forget, especially in the thick of things, that it's all essential to life working the way it should work. Those losses become gains. The disappointment becomes growth. The down times become launching pads to evolved experiences, greater adventures, and new chapters. It's certainly not intuitive to look in the mirror when amidst life's chaos and say thank you to the universe. I get that. I'm not implying that you should. But I am saying it helps to know, it helps to be aware of the paradoxical nature of your journey. I look back at the times I was most fearful or angry at myself, and if I could go back and tell that version of me one thing, it would be that all that adversity is going to push me forward. That I'd never have the things I wanted most if I didn't step into all that discomfort. That it's going to be okay. That I'm going to be incredibly thankful for it all, and so will you. This is the push-pull of life. The chaos and order of the day. It is not in spite of, but because of those moments, you'll be more than you've ever been. The human experience is a paradox. And the quicker we get that, the quicker we let it work for us. No more fighting unwinnable wars, but rather taking all that we can control and using it to lift ourselves up, to be our best selves, to make tomorrow the miracle that it can be.